When I was young, around 5 years old, I had this friend we called Joe. Joe was around my age and he lived in the house next door. Every morning, immediately he wakes up, he would be at my house. His mom would have to forcefully drag him home to wash his face, brush his teeth, and eat. Immediately he finished eating, he would be at my house again. He ate lunch there, and in the evening, his mom would have to forcefully drag him back home again to bath, eat, and sleep. Sometimes he would hide when he saw his mom coming. When he gets to my house, the first thing he does is to come to my room, sit, and wait for me to wake up. He never woke me up from sleep. Apart from me taking my bath, he was by my side all day. Joe was different. He was shy and didn't talk much. He hardly played with anyone else apart from me. Soon, people in the area started to call us husband and wife because we were always together. There was a time an older kid in the neighborhood beat me and took my doll from me. Joe was not beside me when this happened. He has been forced to go home to brush his teeth and eat. When he came back and saw me crying, he asked me why, and I told him. He walked out of my compound angrily. And I don't know how he did it since the girl who took the doll from me was 5 years older than us. But he came back with my doll, with his clothes torn and his mouth bleeding. We were around 6 years old at this point. He was my best friend, and I loved playing with him. One day, we were playing with other kids in the house when my elder sister suggested we fake play a wedding. She said she would be the minister. Another girl said she would be the flower girl. Some of the kids wanted to be bridesmaids, whilst others wanted to be the decorators and servers, and so on. Since people already call us husband and wife, Joe and I decided to be the bride and groom. My sister, who was the eldest among us, divided everyone into groups and showed them where to stand and everything. Then she went for my father's Bible. She used a table as a pulpit and asked the boy who was pretending to be my father to walk me towards her. Joe was already waiting beside my sister. When I got to them, she made us exchange our vows and pronounced us husband and wife. We were all very happy that day, dancing to fake music and eating fake food. The next day, one of my neighbors found Joe on the floor of a huge tree in my compound with his neck broken. He had come to my house like the way he does every morning, and when he entered into my room, I was asleep, and so I guess he had gone to climb the tree to occupy time till I woke up, and he had fallen from the tree and had broken his neck. I was shattered, and even at that young age, I blamed myself for his death. He came to my compound because of me after all. I felt responsible for his death. I stopped eating for days, and I kept seeing him in my dreams every night for a month straight. He was playing with me like we used to, and then I stopped dreaming about him. After he was buried, his family moved away. Slowly, everyone moved on, and Joe became a memory. At the age of 21, I fell in love with my first love. I was obsessed with this man, and from the very beginning of our relationship, he treated me well. I was so happy with him, and then things changed after a few months. He became very controlling and obsessive. Then the physical abuse started. He would slap me when he saw me standing or talking to another man, and then he would apologize. At this point, I had found out he was an alcoholic. I was young and I didn't understand much about physical abuse and its implications. All I knew was that I was in love with this man. And so anytime he came back to apologize, I forgave him and went back to him. There was this period that he treated me so well for about a month, and I really thought he had changed. I had gone to his place to spend the weekend with him when he came home drunk. That morning, we had argued about something silly. I was in the living room watching TV when he came and immediately he saw me. He called me a prostitute and hit one of my eye with his fist. He rained insults on me and went out again. I felt numb, even though I was in so much pain. At that moment, I felt only hatred for him, and I wanted to hurt him like the way he had hurt me. I felt scared and alone, asking myself if this is how I was going to spend the rest of my life. I cried myself to sleep that night, and for the first time in years, I dreamt about Joe. We were in my old room playing and laughing like the way we used to when we were kids. The door opened and my boyfriend entered. Immediately, I started crying in my dream and I ran and hid behind Joe. Joe turned and looked at my boyfriend. He was walking towards him when I woke up to shouts and cries coming from downstairs. My pillow was wet and I realized that I had been crying in my sleep. My boyfriend was not beside me, but he slept outside sometimes, even when I was with him. His apartment was on the third floor of a story building. I rushed downstairs to see what the fuss was all about. I could see a body lying at the end of the stairs. When I got closer, I realized it was my man. He had fallen down the stairs and his neck was broken. And for a second, I could swear I saw Joe standing beside the body. Now, instead of feeling sorry or sad for my man, I felt relieved and free. It was as if a burden had been lifted from my shoulders. I felt guilty for feeling this way, but in a way, I was happy he was no longer around to hurt me. I didn't think much about the dream. To me, it was just a dream. An ambulance came to pick his body up a few minutes later. The police also came, and we were all questioned. They finally came to the conclusion that he was climbing the stairs drunk and had fallen and broken his neck. I moved on with my life and I didn't date again till I finished university. I just wanted to concentrate on myself and to fully heal first. I met my second boyfriend at the place I was doing my service. He was nice and just the kind of person I could see myself dating for the long term. But I studied him for months. I didn't want to make the same mistake I made the first time. But this man was consistent. He felt genuine. But before I agreed to date him, I told him I wanted something serious. I was dating for marriage. I was 25 years old at the time and I wanted to settle down. He told me he wanted to be with me long term too. He said he was serious about me and he also wanted to date for marriage. We started dating and I fell for him hard. 6 months into the relationship, I found out he was married with two kids. His wife and kids were in the States. That is why he was able to deceive me so well. When I found out the truth about him and confronted him, he gaslighted me and didn't even show remorse. He told me it was his plan to leave his wife for me, but because I rushed to confront him, he didn't want to have anything to do with me again. This man just came to play with my heart. I was hurt once again and in pain. I couldn't understand why he would do this to me, make promises to me he knew he could never fulfill. He just came to play with my heart and use me. I was in so much pain and I couldn't eat. I cried myself to sleep every night. I was seeing him at the office every day since I was still doing my service, and seeing him made the pain worse. And then one day, I overheard him telling someone in the office that he never loved me. I asked for permission to go home because I couldn't take it anymore. I started crying in the Uber that was taking me home. I couldn't control myself. That night, I cursed and cursed him for causing me so much pain. I hated him for what he had done to me and only wished him bad luck for the rest of his life. That night, I dreamt about Joe again. I dreamt about the day my doll was taken from me and he had gone to take it back for me. I started laughing in my dream after he gave the doll back to me. And when I woke up the next morning, I felt a little relieved for the first time in years. When I got to work, I was met with a terrible news. My ex had been in a car accident and had been admitted at the hospital. He was still unconscious. I felt happy he was hurting for a second, and then I felt bad. I thought of the dream and how I had also dreamed about Joe the night my first boyfriend had died. I felt like it was a coincidence, but it was worrying me. And so I spoke to a friend of mine who took me to a powerful prophetess. I told her everything, and then she prayed for me and told me that I was married to someone spiritually. She said there was nothing she can do since I was not willing to let go. I asked her how, and she said I was holding on to my spiritual husband just the same way he was holding on to me. She said I should let him go to free myself. I didn't understand her because I was not holding on to Joe. He just appeared in my dreams sometimes. He made me come to her every evening to pray together. Every time I go, she will tell me I'm still holding on to him and I have to let him go. I've asked her how, and she keeps saying by releasing him. I never understood anything she was saying, so I stopped going to see her when I got a job in another city. Right now, I'm in a very healthy relationship, and I have been dating this man for a year and a half now. He is the best, and everything is going smoothly. I'm so happy with him, and we are getting married soon. Now, I received a call from the prophetess a few days ago. She was asking me how I was doing. When I told her I was getting married soon, she told me I needed to separate myself from my spiritual husband first before I get married. If not, bad things will happen. She wants me to start seeing her again. I love my man, and now I'm scared something bad might happen to him. I used to pay the prophetess every time I saw her, and I feel she just wants to continue taking money from me since she didn't help me at all the last time. I keep telling myself she's lying just to scam me. And even if Joe is still in my life, he has only punished people who hurt me. And it's like he's protecting me. But what if the prophetess is right? I don't want anything bad to happen to my husband to be. I'm scared and I don't know what to do. Should I start seeing her again? Or should I ignore her warnings and move on with my life? My mom is deceased, so I can't talk to her. And my older sister doesn't believe in these things. I really need advice. Hmm.